Hello, everyone.
Herbert. Bonjour tout le monde.
Je suis ici.
It's with pleasure that I'm here today to present a brief summary of our financials of our budget and what we have, and also this financial year. So last year,
increased by 26.6 million, or 4%. Advertising revenues were up, primarily due to a strong TV schedule, to a strong hockey playoff season, and revenue from special event coverage that included the federal elections. Digital advertising revenues also increased, notably as the result of the success of our TuTV platform. Specialty service revenues were also up compared to the previous year, with ad revenue growing on the strong performance of our news networks and subscriber revenue also increasing. Operating expenses were higher by $6.6 million. That's 0.4% compared to the previous year. This increase largely reflects one-time costs for various efficiency-generating projects, as well as digital and local service initiatives consistent with our Strategy 2015 plan. Government funding decreased by $5 million, and this was mainly due to an incremental budget reduction tied to cost containment measures announced back in the 2007 federal budget. That was last year. So far this fiscal year, CBC Radio-Canada has been dealing with significant financial challenges. Hubert outlined some of the measures that we're taking to address these pressures. Let's have a look at how these are affecting our results and at how our revenues have been performing so far this year. First, our revenue performance. In the first quarter of 12-13, overall revenues were up $2.6 million compared to the same quarter in the previous year. Digital revenues, facility rentals increased, as did growth in subscription, with more subscribers moving from analog transmission. These increases were partially offset by lower hockey playoff revenues. You'll remember the Canucks 7-game playoff run back in 2011, which hit a viewership high. As we hit the halfway point in our fiscal year, revenues are on track for the first 6 months. Our expenses increased in the first quarter due to restructuring costs in 2 areas. First, we recorded $14 million in severance costs, and we expect to eliminate this year up to 475 of 650 planned staff positions. We'll incur additional costs of up to $3 million this year and $8 million in years 2 and 3. Then there's $26 million in write-downs and depreciation related to the shutdown of our analog TV and shortwave infrastructures. Additionally, we've provided approximately $5 million for decommissioning costs on our TV analog locations. So for both shortwave on our CI and our analog assets, the effect of the write-offs on our bottom line is partially mitigated, and that's by recognizing previously received capital funding of $23 million in the first quarter. And this largely explains the increase in appropriations quarter over quarter. By the end of this fiscal year, the operating appropriation recognized as revenue is expected to be $999.5 million. This reflects a $27.8 million reduction in our operating appropriation as a result of the year 1 impact of the 2012 federal budget reduction. The other big financial story for the corporation came, as mentioned by Hubert, in July, when the CRTC released its decision to phase out the Local Programming Improvement Fund, from which we received $47 million this past broadcast year. The contribution rate decreased by 1/3 effective September 1st, 2012, and will reduce a further third in September 2013 until complete elimination in September of 2014. Donc, jusqu'à présent,
up to now, we're in the way of getting our financial objectives for the year. However, a certain number of risks are weighing on us, and we continue to pay attention to our environment and to set up our contingency plans. A few examples. D'abord, il y a aussi le marché de recettes en ce qui concerne la publicité dans l'environnement actuel, de croissance économique bas et réelle. Nos stratégies de multiplateforme nous desservent bien et nous comptons développer des approches de vente innovatrices. le retard ou disons l'arrêt potentiel de la saison de hockey va avoir un effet
plans for replacement programming, and for cost containment. Then there's the CRTC license renewal hearings in November, as mentioned by Hubert. In our rapidly evolving ecosystem and with ongoing vertical integration, we'll look to continue creating partnerships where possible, a priority for the corporation as outlined in our strategic plan. And in the coming months, government funding decisions are expected to be made regarding salary inflation funding for 2013-2014. Tous ces éléments font en
All these elements are such that it is more important than ever to respect the principles of our 2015 strategy. Set up initiatives for growth of the revenue and diminish more the cost of operating. These principles are essential if we want to carry out our plans, our objectives, and reach our financial and commercial and long-term objectives. Thank you. Merci. Et encore une fois.
Thank you, Suzanne.